Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to IPSI's Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. I'm your host, Joshua Washington, the Executive Director of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Welcome. It's good to see you all here. We have a lot to talk about today. First of all, this is your first time tuning in. This is the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. This is our weekly forum every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are here. We are discussing. If you've never seen us before, go to ibsi.org and check out what we do, who we are, why we do what we do. You can check out all kinds of documents. Go to our website now and see what we do and why we do what we do for Israel, Africa, Black and Jewish relations through education, advocacy, and community engagement. Also, if you want to learn more about us and read some of the stuff that we do and check out our podcast, you can go to our Substack, ibsi.substack.com. We have a newsletter called Africa Israel Weekly, where we have an art. As a matter of fact, we just published a brand new article today, which we're actually going to talk about in a little bit. Also, if you know who we are and you would like to support the work of IPSI, you can support us by becoming a legacy builder. A legacy builder is someone who gives monthly to IPSI. It can be something smaller. It doesn't have to be something big. If you can only do a certain amount a month, then you do that. You can set it up, and $18 a month, $20 a month, $50 a month, anything. And that's how you can support us. Become a legacy builder, or you can just donate. I'll give a one-time donation to the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Go to ibsi.org/donate in order to do that. Okay. Now, we're going to keep on going here. Oh, the last thing is visit our merch store. You can get mugs, t-shirts. We have all kinds of things that you can buy to support IPSI and show for the work or the support that you've given. You have something to show for it. Quick announcements. I want to show you, and our producer, if you have the video queued up, I want to show you a video it's a highlight reel from our Young Leaders Conference, which happened in Ethiopia just a couple of weeks ago now. We just got back from Ethiopia not that long ago. We had an amazing time. And producer, if you have that footage, go ahead and let's show the people.
First annual Young Leaders Conference of African and African American men and women was nothing short of phenomenal. On February 12th through the 14th, some 100 delegates gathered in Addis Ababa from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, South Africa, and the United States to discuss the future of the Israel-Africa relationship, including African Zionism, Pan-Africanism, education, business, technology, music, and much more.
In Psalm 68, verse 31, we read, "Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God." This verse is not just poetry, it is prophecy. It reminds us that Africa has always had a role in the Word of God and in the story of Israel.
Israel, as a country that has conquered restrictions that its location gives to it, tells us that there are opportunities in know-how. Israel's capacity to mobilize finance for development is an important opportunity for learning and for doing business. It is necessary that we should look at the partnership from a can-do perspective. Just do it.
The conference concluded with the circle, where the international delegates unpacked all they had learned and made plans to apply that knowledge to their home countries. They have formed a global network of Christians and Jews, Africans and Israelis, and that network is already expanding. One of their first projects? Preparing for the second annual Young Leaders Conference of 300 African delegates from the continent and throughout the diaspora, February the 1st through the 8th, 2027, in the eternal, undivided, holy city of Jerusalem. Save the date. To learn more, visit ibsi.org and join our emailing list, or email us directly at info@ibsi-now.org.
We are so excited for that. We had such a tremendous time in Ethiopia, you guys, and there's so much more to share as well. These young people are from every sector, as you heard, every sector of life, from politics to tech to education, we even talked a lot about counterterrorism, to arts and entertainment, and there's much more to go from there. But we have an incredible delegation of Africans on the continent and in the diaspora, and we're very excited. Also, we have some other events coming up. IPSI's Pastors Presents. There's a pastors event coming up called Africa to Zion. You can find out more about that on ipsi.org/dates. I'll also be, so that, there you go, March 10th, Tuesday, March 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And there's going to be lots to be discussed there. You can look at more information on our website. We're going to be talking about our trips to the Holy Land between this year and next year, with pastors specifically, and we have other trips with other groups. There's going to be a lot of Israel trips over this next year, and we're excited to share that with you. Something else that just got solidified yesterday. I didn't have time to send. I don't have the flyer yet. That's how fresh off the press it is. But I will be down in Atlanta for an event on March 29th. It's a musical event. It's a solidarity event. I'll be doing some music. I'll be partnering with Persian singer and artist Rizal Mizrahi. We collaborated together in Nashville the other week for the Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress, which was an incredible conference that we were privileged to be a part of. I was privileged to be asked to music direct it, we had a tremendous time there as well, in Nashville with some of the top leaders and influencers and Zionist voices in the space, and it was a really great time. And so Rizal and I will be together again in Atlanta doing some more music. March 29th, we'll be posting more about that. Also, last thing, Pastor Corey Brooks, he's been doing his Walk Across America to continue to raise funds for Project Hood, for the massive facility that is being built now. He has an event in Nashville, Tennessee, and friends. Meet, greet, and eat Tuesday, March 3rd at 6:30 p.m. You can call that number right there or scan the QR code to RSVP. We're promoting. He does incredible work. He is a great friend. He's an amazing pastor and a great friend of the Jewish community of Chicago, and also a great friend of ours at IPSI. So we want to give him a shout out and continue to enlist your support for Project Hood and for Pastor Corey. So don't miss that event. If you're in that area in Nashville, come out and see them, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Okay. Now, the war in Iran is happening right now as we speak. It's March 2nd, 2026. And there's in the fog of war, it's really difficult to kind of predict what's going to happen or things that are happening right now on the ground. We do know how Iran operates. We know how the propaganda works because we've seen their propaganda in real time whenever Israel was at war with Hamas, whenever Israel was at war with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. That propaganda that gets funneled and pumped into the U.S., a lot of that is funded by Iran, a lot is funded by Qatar, and so now we're seeing that almost like a from the source type of thing, right? So, but what we do know is that the U.S. and Israel have had coordinated attacks against Iran, taking out some very crucial sites, military sites, nuclear sites. And Iran has been responding and not just firing at Israel, but firing at all different countries, allied countries and neighboring countries, in hopes that the U.S. would call it off. So there are rockets rained down in Dubai, and there also have been other countries who have been intercepting missiles. Jordan has intercepted missiles most recently, and so that's what's happening now. First and foremost, our prayers, we continue to stand in solidarity, and our prayers go out to the people of Iran who have been praying for the day that the Ayatollah, that the IRGC, that the Islamic Republic of Iran is toppled once and for all, never to rise again. The people, the Iranian people, the older ones who remember the revolution, who remember life before the Ayatollah, who remember the Shah, and things weren't perfect, but they remember that life was much better than what it became after 1979. We stand in solidarity with the people of Iran. As a Christian, stand in solidarity with my Christian brothers and sisters in Iran who have been worshiping underground all this time. The fastest growing Christian population in the world has been Iran for quite some time now, even though that's one of the places where being a Christian is the most dangerous. So what's happening when it comes to the people on the ground in Iran, don't let the propaganda fool you. Many Iranians are cheering for this. Someone made the argument that, no, it's just privileged, Persians and Iranians in the US, right, who aren't affected by this. Nope. There's footage. There are people in Iran. People in Iran were cheering in June when Israel was attacking Iran's nuclear sites. Back in June, they were doing this. People in Iran cheered when the Ayatollah was killed. The Ayatollah Khamenei was killed within 24 hours of this war. Then his interim leader, the interim Ayatollah, was killed within 24 hours of that killing. So it is a big time, important time for the people of Iran, and we continue to stand with them. I see a comment that says, "Are you going to?" But I didn't finish, so I'm not sure what. Maybe if you type that comment again, and I can answer your question. So that's what's happening right now. Missiles are falling on Israel. Some have reached Jerusalem. Some have reached Tel Aviv. There's some rockets have landed, and this has been there's a lot more. What do you call it? Sticking. There's a lot more missiles actually hitting the ground than what we would see, I think, normally. Like between in war with Hamas, Iran has much more precise weaponry and all that kind of stuff. So it's not over. Of course, to our brothers and sisters, our friends, the people of Israel, we stand with you. We continue to advocate for you and pray for you in this time, because it's not an easy time. And we're watching as things are developing. Now, the latest article that came out was one that I pinned, and it's called Operation Epic Fury versus Operation Roaring Lion. The subtitle is The Qatari Elephant in the Room. And like always, I think lately, whenever I am doing these live forums, I'm just trying my best to kind of remind us of timeline, because timeline is very important, ladies and gentlemen. It's easy to have short-term memory, when there's so much going on every day, so much happens. And it's like whatever emotional capacity you had for yesterday, you don't have that for yesterday anymore, because you need it for today. And whatever mental capacity you have for today, whatever goes on tomorrow, you can't hold on to today anymore. And so because of that, we tend to forget or discount some of the things that have happened before, or we just want to believe that they weren't as big a deal as they actually are. And so we don't like to hear certain things because it reminds us that maybe this is actually worse than we think. And I understand all of that. I understand that on a deep personal level. However, IPSI would be remiss and not doing our job if we didn't say what we saw, because we didn't want to hurt people's feelings or make people upset or make people scared. I hope that for any of you who've been following us for any length of time now would know that we don't do alarmism. We don't try to find problems that we can create so that we can pretend to fix them. We just call things like we see them. We just say things like they are. Sometimes we say things that make one side of the aisle mad. Sometimes we say things that make the other side mad. Sometimes we say things that make everyone mad. We don't try to. We're just doing our best here to say what we're seeing. And what we've been seeing has been very concerning, even in the midst of this war. Now, I started off by saying that our hearts go out to the Iranian people. We stand with them. we along with them have been praying for the fall of the Islamic Republic of Iran and a restoring of better leadership that actually provides the Iranian people safety and security, and a reawakening of the ancient Israel-Persia relationship, right? One that actually is a good one. And so that's where we've been. So all of that is great and good. The problem when it comes to here in America is that we are continuing down this path. Good evening, Pastor Matrilla. Shout out to Pastor Matrilla. How are you, Ipsy Pastor? I see you there, ma'am. We are continuing down this path of capitulating and lying in bed with Qatar. And that's a problem because Qatar funds virtually all the problems that we in the pro-Israel space have been facing for the past several decades. Anti-Israel professors, curriculum in K through 12 schools, the propaganda that's flooding through social media, even American political pundits. In the past, it's been on the left. Now we're seeing it more on the right. And some of those people have direct access to the White House, like Tucker Carlson. So we like to talk about Tucker all the time. It's very obvious that he's a Qatari shill because, and this is why, because he'll talk about this America first and this, that, and the other. But then he'll say only good things, only great things about Qatar. Qatar is this, and no, they're amazing. And you know what? Christians in Qatar are treated better than Christians in Israel. That's what he said. He said that Christians in Qatar are treated better than Christians in Israel. You know, the punishment for converting to Christianity in Qatar is death. If you are a Muslim in Qatar and you convert to Christianity, as we say in Christian, you get saved, you accept Jesus to your heart, and you become a Christian, you could be killed for it. It is lawful for you to be killed in Qatar for converting to Christianity. That's not the case in Israel, not even close. And so then what Tucker does is he cites, skirmishes, right? Clashes. Oh, look at this story. Look at these Jews who spit on these Christians. And then he shows videos that are old, videos that have been passed around already so many times or whatever. But look, what do you have to say about this? And they'll have people on. What do you have to say about that? Okay, that's bad. I mean, anyone with the sense, any Israeli, you have to be like, that's terrible. We condemn that. That's awful. Those guys are terrible. No one should be treated like that in Israel. We have religious freedom in Israel. As a matter of fact, okay, Tucker, go deeper. What happened to those guys who spit on those Christians? You're not even in Israel. You can't do stuff like that. You can, but you'll get punished. In Israel, you can't even say certain whether it's racially charged things or anything like that. You can get fined for stuff like that. But Tucker does that. Now we all get on that, and it's easy. It's easy to bash Tucker. But the problem is Tucker and his son have direct access to the White House. Tucker has a major hand in helping staff the White House. Tucker has the president's ear. Tucker can go in and out as he pleases. That's what's going on right now. So we pick on the easy target. We pick on Tucker Carlson. We pick on Candace Owens. And there's nothing wrong. Look, we've been calling out Candace since before she was really that crazy. Early on when Kanye and her were doing the whole city bake thing, and we were like, okay, nope, they're lying on Jewish people, right? We've seen Tucker. We talked about the problematic issue of Tucker still having a prominent role in TPUSA, right? And that TPUSA is having to there's like this ideological clash going on now because there are people in TPUSA who love Tucker and follow him, and those who don't follow him, and all that stuff. We talk about all of that stuff, and all that's important. But the problem is, less and less of us are unwilling to go all the way to the end with it, which is, okay, part of what's causing a lot of this is our president. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to just highlight a couple of different things for you. Again, the Iranian regime is evil. We're happy to see it go down, and we pray that they completely get dismantled all the way. Iran has not only its tentacles all over the Middle East, but throughout Africa. Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, is one of the largest sponsors, I think, of terrorism on the African continent. At the same time as Iran funds much of the terrorism on the continent of Africa, all the slaughterings, all the killings, all the bring back our girls stuff, funded by Iran, funded by Turkey. Iran at the same time also has campaigns to indoctrinate Black Americans. And we've talked about that in a previous article in Africa Israel Weekly called The Iranian Regime's Increased Focus on Black Americans. You can check it out again, ibsi.substack.com. You can check out that article. It's called The Iranian Regime's Increased Focus on Black Americans, where our CEO and founder highlights and documents exactly what that looks like and how Iran has been not only pumping propaganda into the US, but specifically targeting Black Americans. Okay, so no love for Iran at all. Okay, now here's the thing. Back in June of 2025, late May, or all of May and early June, me and my sons and their Nana V, we were in Israel. This was just a few months after my wife, our former, Speakers Bureau chief, my beloved wife, my late wife of blessed memory, Olga Mishroy Washington. It was just a few months after she passed. We were in Israel. I had a show. It was my first concert on my Journey to Healing tour in Jerusalem. We had a beautiful time. And then that's also when the Houthis were shooting missiles from Yemen, and none of them really landed. But because of that, the airline that we were with was scared, and they shut down all flights from Israel. I think it was United Airlines. So we stayed. I want to say stuck, but it was not really a bad thing to be stuck in Israel. But we had to stay for an extra week in Israel. And then by the time it was time to go, we left, I think, just 3 days before the attacks from Iran. Just 3 days before the first war last year in June started. And so I was like, wow, we literally just missed that. And one of the things that happened, because we were following that very closely as well, it was Friday, June the 13th, when Bibi announced Operation Rising Lion. And that was Israel's response to the aggression and nuclear weapon ambitions. They were taking out Iranian nuclear sites very successfully, very successfully. Then on June 23rd, President Trump ordered a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. But he did it through what many were really recognizing as very unclear social media posts, right? And so I'm going to list this. This is from this article. One of our other articles, Israel attacked by the president. Our CEO pinned this one on June the 24th. The first thing was that he announced a ceasefire, giving 6 hours for both sides to wrap up their operations. Israel ignores that and starts to bomb Iran heavily because Iran's still shooting. They can't afford to just wait. It's not like Hamas in Gaza. Like Iran has the weaponry to do what they really need to do. Iran shoots 5 missile barrages at Israel, one of which kills 4 people. And then Trump's deadline goes into effect and Iran shoots another barrage. Trump announces his deadline is in effect on Truth Social and asks for no more firing. Iran fires 1 missile 3 hours later, which does not land, per Trump's tweet. Israel vows to respond. Trump publicly demands that Israel does not respond and that its planes turn around. The last thing is Israel strikes a minor site, and then turns its planes around. After that is the famed, I don't know if you guys remember, Trump was asked by an interviewer, by a reporter, do you believe Iran is still committed to peace? Yes, I do. They violated the ceasefire. Israel did it too. The reporter said, are you questioning if Israel is committed to peace? And he said, Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on this one. I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either, but I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket didn't land. I'm not happy about that. And then he said, we basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard, they don't know what the F they're doing. Okay. But with that, not only were things off about that, but also missiles were continuing to fire from Iran. I remember there were barrages of rockets. I mean, entire buildings in Tel Aviv were destroyed. My friends who lost their apartments and all that kind of stuff. People who lost their lives. And when Trump ordered for the planes to be turned around, the general feeling amongst Israelis, we have friends who are in the military, in the IDF, in intelligence, all that stuff. We heard from several different sources that Israel was maybe about 3 weeks away from finishing the job completely, meaning taking out all the nuclear sites and completely disarming Iran. Just maybe 3 weeks away. Israel, the U.S. didn't have to help them finish it. Israel was about 3 weeks away from that, about 3 weeks away. Trump said, no, stop everything. Now we have to negotiate, which is just an age-old playbook thing that never works. I don't care if you're John Kerry or Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. When has negotiating with jihadi leaders ever actually worked out for real? When has it actually ever fostered any kind of peace or even just an effective ceasefire for that matter? Right? So they were stopped in their tracks in the middle of this, toward the end of this operation. Okay. So that's what happened there. After that, so you have that in June. Several months go by. Now, our president is trying to get Israel to negotiate with Hamas, and so then he then starts trying to pressure Bibi into letting Turkey have a major role in this peace deal to help Gaza rebuild and all that stuff. So he keeps pressuring Bibi. This is back in December 2025 to let Erdogan put Turkish troops on the ground in Gaza. To which Bibi was like, yeah, no, we're not doing. No, were you kidding me? We already have enough on our hands with Hamas. You were telling me to put Turkey, who's also publicly declared their hatred and desire for Israel's destruction. You want me to allow Turkey to put their troops on the ground in Gaza so they're right across the border from us? Yeah, we're not doing that. But that continued to happen and continued to happen and continued to happen. So just timeline stuff. That was December. Now let's look at January. In January, ladies and gentlemen, this is when I think the first time it happened publicly. Bibi Netanyahu was he was speaking at a graduation, an Israeli Air Force graduation. I think this is the first time. I think this is the first time he said it publicly. But anyway, you can correct me. He said, "It is time for Israel to unhitch from a U.S. aid. Over the next 10 years, we are going to basically wean ourselves off of aid from the United States." Now, this kind of news you would think would have all the anti-Israel people, especially those on the right, just cheering, shouting, and celebrating because we just give billions of dollars to Israel for no reason. America first, America first, America first. Not understanding or intentionally misrepresenting what actually happens. And I said this before. It's like a gift card. Yes, the U.S. gives Israel military aid that they can only spend on U.S. things only if the U.S. approves of it. Meaning, like we saw what happened after October 7th when Joe Biden was president. Israel needed certain weaponry to do certain things, and we would either say no or slow walk them, really tying Israel's hands in the war. That's happened multiple times, right? Like I said this in my article, Operation Epic Fury versus Operation Roaring Lion, is that, it's like there's a billionaire that gives you a $10 million gift card. Wow, $10 million, that's great. But you can only use this gift card in the general store, in the shop that the billionaire owns. Okay, so all the money goes back to the billionaire. And only if the billionaire allows you to buy the stuff. So now, let's say you're in desperate need of a first aid kit. Your child is hurt badly and you need to stop the bleeding, and you know that this place has a really amazing first aid kit. You run to the store real quick, you try to get it, and the billionaire says, "No, you can't get that right now. I'm sorry." And you're like, "I need to, but right now, like, no, sorry, get out of my store." That's the relationship, right? It's not really that reciprocal for Israel. And Israelis have been talking about this. See, that one of the things that the general Israeli public, I would say, or I should say, a lot of Israelis and anti-Israel activists actually have in common when it comes to this is they think that Israel should, they do believe that Israel should unhitch themselves from the U.S. They actually agree on that point. They actually agree that for different reasons, but for the Israelis, they say, never again, when we say never again as Jews, it specifically means never again will we outsource our safety to somebody else. Never again will we rely on someone else to protect us. It's a very specific, and I learned this from a good friend of mine, who is two friends of mine. One's a Russian Jew, one's a Ukrainian Jew. That it wasn't just a general never will this Holocaust happen again. Never again will we rely on somebody else to protect us. So for a lot of Israelis, a lot of Jews, they say us relying so much on the U.S. for aid violates our own ethos, which is never again. Our post-Holocaust ethos, which is no, we're not supposed to do that. And so that's what's been happening here. And so Bibi has finally announced that over the next 10 years, we will have our own weapons manufacturing plants and everything. For a lot of Israelis, they're like, it's about time. We should have been doing this a long time ago. Thank you. We should have had this yesterday. That's not just some random occurrence. Some people, the ones who can't fathom that Trump might do something to betray Israel, they interpret the events as, well, someone even said the other day, well, Trump actually, the reason why, they had to turn their planes around and not finish the job in Iran back in June is because they still had hostages, and Hamas would have killed the hostages if they finished the job. But that doesn't make sense, because if that was ever at risk, then why would they have taken out their sites in the first place? Wouldn't that have risked the hostages? No, Israel didn't decide on their own to turn their planes around. Trump said, turn your planes around. And again, with the military contract, okay, you violate that enough, the U.S. might not give you anything next time. So we need to be able to, just like we say America first, they're like, okay, but what about Israel first? We need to be able to operate how we feel we need to operate without relying on another country who may or may not have interests that align with ours. A country that might one day say, put Turkish troops on the ground in Gaza. And we don't want our military aid to hang in the balance of doing what they say. We can make our own weapons. So all those things have happened. It's not by coincidence that Israel is beginning to kind of shift away from relying on the U.S. so much. Why? It's because it's very concerning what's happening right now. Qatar, according to the Washington Free Beacon, between 2024 and 2025, Qatar has tripled its quote unquote investments in U.S. colleges and universities, tripled from 369 million to $1.2 billion. So not only has Qatar not even let up a little bit, they've sank their teeth in more into our country, poisoning the minds of our students and all that stuff. While our president was doing things like, oh, we're going to deport anti-Israel college students that aren't American citizens. Okay, I mean, that's really not going to do much if the money that poisons the minds continue to flood. We have students who are Americans who are being poisoned by this stuff. You can deport all the non-American college students all you want. The problem is it's growing here. This house is on fire, and Qatar, it has the gasoline and the match, and they just bought more gasoline. Not only is nothing being said or done about it. Whenever the president talks about Qatar now, it's always great, beautiful, wonderful, flowery things about the emir and about the country and everything. In 2017, President Trump said Qatar must stop funding terrorism. In 2025, so two things can be true at once, ladies and gentlemen. Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran has to go, and the people of Iran must be freed. And the U.S., this administration, is playing a very dangerous game that we won't be able to recover from. He's only going to be president for he only has just about 3 years left now. Less than 3 years now. All this stuff he's put in place, the board of peace that Turkey sits on, that Qatar sits on, all that stuff, that's going to still be in place. There are things that we are suffering from now that date back several administrations that, people in my generation don't even know. We're not even aware what happened, right? There are things that for good or bad or indifferent, right? Everyone is used to the security in the airports, the way it is. I was, 9/11, when 9/11 happened, I was 10 years old. I do remember we used to walk my dad all the way to the gate and watch his plane take off. I do have memories of that, but it's a little more faint for me. My kids don't even know. For my sons, this is how it always is. For my parents, they remember a time when it was not like that. After 9/11, everything changed. There are things, good, bad, or indifferent, that we are suffering from now because some other president in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s set stuff in motion. That is what's happening now. We are in bed with Qatar, and we continue to be in bed with Qatar, and nothing has changed. It has only gotten worse. So while this war rages on, we're still going, yeah, but there's still stuff going on that it has not been addressed. Not to mention people like Tucker, who have such close ties to the White House, just completely. This is how you know he's shilling for Qatar. This is how you know an America First person is fake. This is how you know they're real. And this is how you can tell an America First person is real. They will pretty much go after anything that has to do with us helping anyone, funding anybody, getting money from anyone, right? So a real America First person, like strictly, they may have issues with our relationship with Israel, but they also talk very boldly about our relationship with Qatar. They also talk about how other foreign countries fund our universities. They also talk about the aid that we give to the Palestinian Authority. And why are we doing that? Why are we funding Hamas? Why are we funding both sides of the war? They will talk about the fake ones. It's just Israel, 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 Israel. And furthermore, you'll find that they're fake because they will somehow have like warm, fuzzy feelings toward Islam. Tucker Carlson has a house in Qatar that he bought. Tucker Carlson has blatantly lied and said, like I said before, it's better to be a Christian in Qatar than in Israel, where in Qatar you could literally lawfully get killed for being a Christian. That's someone who's shilling for Qatar. That's how you can tell that the America First is just the guys. Someone is getting paid by a foreign government to do advocating. It's not us. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, and I want to end by saying it like the way I started this segment. We continue to pray for the liberation of the Iranian people. We continue to stand with them. We pray for the downfall of the Islamic Republic of Iran. We continue to pray that the Iranian leaders are disarmed and dismantled, and that real leadership can open up a new horizon for Iran, or what I sometimes call New Persia, and that a real relationship with Israel, a real relationship with the rest of the world, and something beautiful can come from this, because that can still happen. We have our own problems. And again, so if you want to read that article, it's called Operation Epic Fury versus Operation Roaring Lion. You can check that out on our ibsi.substack.com, our Africa Israel weekly newsletter. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to pause and just say a couple of things. One, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. These are monthly forums, Monday at 8 p.m. If you know who we are and you want to support us, you can go to ibsi.org/donate, and you can give a monthly amount by being a legacy builder. We greatly appreciate your donations. I just saw the other day that someone just gave a one-time donation of $250. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. If you want to set up something regular, you can do that. We greatly appreciate that with all the work that we're doing. I see a comment here. Thank you for taking a stand against Iran. This is definitely not only Israel's war. The IRGC spent the past decades arming terrorists throughout the Middle East. Never ceased to promote violence. Absolutely. The Middle East and Africa. Iran is one of the top sponsors of terrorism in Africa. They are a cancer. The Iranian regime is a cancer. And that's what I mean by it's really important that we are able to, as much as possible, none of us can ever see everything for what it is perfectly. But it's important for us to hold as many truths as we can. The Iranian regime is a cancer that needs to be destroyed. There's nefarious activity going on between the United States and Qatar. Those things are both true. We can still celebrate this and still call this one out, because this one could mean the downfall of Western society as we know it. We can't dismiss that just because this is happening. We can say, no, amazing, amen. We were thankful for this. And no. All right. So also, you saw the video earlier today. I think there are more. As a matter of fact, producer, I want to share this video one more time, because when we shared it in the beginning, there was a lot less people on, but I really want you guys to get just a feel for what we did in Ethiopia just a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to Rabbi Elon Sharon. I see you on there. I want you guys to see this, because what is happening right now, the future is still very much Israel, Africa. And we got to just get a taste of that just in a few days as young people from all over the continent and from America descended upon Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And we had such a powerful conference. I want to say thank you to everyone who supported. We had lots of donors who pitched in to make this happen. Big donations, medium donations, small donations. You guys, thank you so much, because this was supposed to happen, and the ripple effects of this will be felt eternally, I believe. And our next one is going to be in Jerusalem. We'll tell you about that later on. We have so many bright and gifted young people in these delegations from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, some from Zambia, from Nigeria, from Ghana, I mean, from all over. We're so excited. So I want you to check out this video. Let's play it again, producer, and let's show them.
Annual Young Leaders Conference of African and African American men and women was nothing short of phenomenal. On February 12th through the 14th, some 100 delegates gathered in Addis Ababa from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, South Africa, and the United States to discuss the future of the Israel-Africa relationship, including African Zionism, Pan-Africanism, education, business, technology, music, and much more.
In Psalm 68, verse 31, we read, "Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto God." This verse is not just poetry, it is prophecy. It reminds us that Africa has always had a role in the Word of God and in the story of Israel.
Israel, as a country that has conquered restrictions that its location gives to it, tells us that there are opportunities in know-how. Israel's capacity to mobilize finance for development is an important opportunity for learning and for doing business. It is necessary that we should look at the partnership from a can-do perspective. Just do it.
The conference concluded with the circle, where the international delegates unpacked all they had learned and made plans to apply that knowledge to their home countries. They have formed a global network of Christians and Jews, Africans and Israelis, and that network is already expanding. One of their first projects? Preparing for the second annual Young Leaders Conference of 300 African delegates from the continent and throughout the diaspora, February the 1st through the 8th, 2027, in the eternal, undivided, holy city of Jerusalem. Save the date. To learn more, visit ibsi.org and join our emailing list, or email us directly at info@ibsi-now.org.
So once again, thank you to all the supporters. What's going to be really, really special about this next one is that our delegates from the one that we just had are helping us plan this next one. You guys, it's save the date. We're going to be in Israel for a little longer this time, longer than when we were in Ethiopia, for at least a week. So there will be the conference. There will also be just some educational touring. One of the places we went in Ethiopia was the famous the brand new Adwa Museum, telling the story of the victory over the Italians who came to conquer and colonize Ethiopia. Very, very, I mean, very moving and inspiring story that needs to be told all over the place. And we got to visit the beautiful museum, and we'll definitely be back. But next year is in Jerusalem. Leshana haba b'Yerushalayim, as our Jewish friends say. And we're excited for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please save the date. Continue to share the word about IPSI. Support, again, if you haven't, ibsi.org/donate. You can give a small monthly amount, and that would help us to really move forward and do what we need to do on a much higher level, a much bigger scale. Shout out to, I see the comments here. Shout out to Rabbi Elon. I see you, Prudence, Sister Prudence. Shout out to you, ma'am. One of our delegates. Thank you so much. We have much work to do. And after this last thing I'll say too, it's very important that we do what we know we're called to do and not to be distracted. There's so much going on in the world as we're witnessing and kind of feeling right now. Whatever your calling is, you stick to that and you stay focused, because God will bless you in that, and also bless you to connect with others who are doing maybe some of the other things that you were wanting to do. But make sure you stay focused on what you're doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Lastly, I said this before, but we have some events coming up. If you go to ibsi.org/dates, you can see what we have coming up. We have several events coming up. We have an IPSI Pastors event coming up that our CEO is leading, talking about our Israel trips with the IPSI pastors over this next calendar year. There's an event in Nashville that our good friend and partner, Pastor Corey Brooks, is leading with his Walk Across America campaign that you don't want to miss. Like I said, this one is not up yet, but I will be in Atlanta on March the 29th for a very special musical solidarity event with another amazing, beautiful artist, Razal Mizrahi, great Persian singer. You guys might have seen her all over social media these past few months. She has been at the rallies in New York, especially, and all over the place, singing and speaking and standing in solidarity with her people. It has been very beautiful to see. And we had the privilege of working together in Nashville at the Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress, where I had my soul band. I had Yaron Cherniak on the lira and the saz. And then we had Razal Mizrahi singing. It was a very beautiful blend of Israeli, Persian, Black American kind of soulful gospel mix. And we had such an epic time that we still have our text group, and we're talking about excuses to get back together and do something again. So you'll be hearing more from that as well. And then also the Hebrew Project artists. I'll talk more about that next week. But the Hebrew Project is a massive gospel, jazz, Hebrew influence, Middle Eastern influence group that was started by our CEO years ago, Dumisani Washington. I'm one of the co-producers. Randy Sandoli, the one who wrote that theme song that you hear every week for our forums, he's another co-producer. We are planning several big events this year, and that's all leading up and culminating into our Hanukkah concerts in Israel at the end of this year. So we'll be telling you guys about all that. There is so much going on, and a lot of it is bittersweet. I think about how much fun my late wife would be having if we were doing this together. Also, how much stress we would be enduring together, but we'd be doing it together. And so there are definitely tough moments, especially we had it in Ethiopia where we all came together. And, I got to meet some people at that conference, the Young Leaders Conference in Ethiopia, that she used to mentor. So you can definitely still sense her fingerprints on a lot of things. But we continue to move forward, and God continues to be faithful and giving us the provision that we need, the vision and the provision, as we say in the church, to move forward. So thank you all so much. Thanks for tuning in. We're back here next week, 8 p.m. Eastern time, same place. You guys, I hope to see you again soon. Spread the word. We'll be sharing clips from this episode. Please spread it all over the place. Get the word out about IPSI. And we can't wait to see you guys again. You guys have a good rest of your week.